Oh, veterans, aka employees, everybody watching, hey, welcome to the Veteran Lang YouTube channel, where we talk about VA benefits, mainly VA compensation, because that's the world that we live in here at Lang's Legal, as we help veterans nationwide. As a VA accredited attorney, I get to do that. I get that privilege to do that, veterans. We help quite a few of you. We have a few hundred of you that right now are trusting us to do so, and we greatly appreciate you. For allowing us the opportunity to get those benefits you rightfully deserve. We look forward to helping even more veterans as the year goes on and as we progress into other years. Before we get into today's topic, I am going to give you a little admin addition here. So as not only just your friendly VA accredited attorney here, Matthew Lang, I get to be your friendly Arizona and New Mexico attorney for veterans. We have a goal of being able to provide more services to veterans as we start growing. We want to do more. So for this year, we've finally hit a point where we have added some states, New Mexico and Arizona, to the mix. So veterans, if you live in Arizona or New Mexico, we can help out with a few different state items there, state law issues. We do have a license. I do have a license to practice in both states. We're really focused right now on trying to help veterans with the things that they need the most. And some of that stuff that we've heard is estate planning issues and perhaps some car accidents, a little bit of personal injury. We know there's plenty of attorneys out there that do personal injury, but I think what's going to set us apart and what we hope sets us apart for you veterans is the idea that you have veterans working for you, veterans who understand you more so, why you may respond to certain things, why you may react to certain ways, veterans who can relate to you a little bit more than perhaps that everyday run-of-the-mill, turning-over number-based law firm. So we want to keep with our trend and our mission here and our goals of being as personable as possible, even as we get busier and start to grow. We still want to give you that little hometown feel, no matter where you are in the nation for VA benefit work, but we're also now added stuff for Arizona and New Mexico. So you're going to be able to reach us not just at veteranlang.com, but the webpage for langslegal.com will be updated, and you'll be able to find Langs Legal on both those pages in the future and be able to reach to us and hopefully get the help that you're looking for there. All right. Enough of that administrative stuff. You're here for a topic. You're here for some more education from your friendly VA accredited attorney, Matthew Lang. So let me put that hat back on and let's do that. This is a topic we've talked about a little bit before, but we've seen some changes recently, and I like to try to let some of those changes settle down a little bit before I do these topics. I know a lot of others jump out there like it's, oh, breaking news, and that's totally fine. That may work for them, but I think now's a good time to get into this. And what we're going to talk about is a couple of changes with potential changes, I should say. They haven't been enacted yet, but potential changes with the rating scheduler. I know we've had the VA rumor some changes on different sections for a while now. Dates come and go, changes not happen. Congress is kind of asked what's going on. We've got a lot of other stuff happening in Congress as well when it comes to veterans and the laws that they want to pass. But we've seen a big movement here. So let's talk about it. What am I talking about? Hey, veterans, if you have tinnitus or sleep apnea, you're thinking about filing one of those claims, perhaps, you're going to need to understand what Congress just put in writing. It's not necessarily a rumor anymore. Like I said, we've got this significant movement on it. Congress seems to be pushing the idea that if VA is not going to do it, then they're going to make them do it. Now, it's not current law yet, though, either. So this could still change. This is proposed right now. It may just be passed the way it is. We don't know. But it is a significant enough change to start really keeping more of an eye on it. So there's a new veterans bill called Take Care of America's Veterans Act. Now, this bill, interesting enough, as I was going through it, has merged in some other legislation that was proposed out there, and it's going to include the Major Richard Starr Act, which is a bill that would help certain military retirees receive both military retirement pay and VA disability compensation. which is a major issue for a lot of veterans that have been fighting that for years, because it seems like that's been quite off base and not quite fair for veterans. But we've seen some changes over the years, and there's another change that's proposed out there in the Major Richard Starr Act. But I have noticed that got included in the Take Care of America's Veterans Act here. But just understand, there is some other stuff going on in this law. It is over 550 pages, but we're going to take a small section of it and talk about that tinnitus and sleep apnea here. Because inside the same bill, there's also that language that would change the VA, how VA rates the sleep apnea and tinnitus. Interestingly enough, I only noted those two issues, and so not all the other changes that the VA was trying to make. So in this video, we're going to slow it down a little bit. We're going to read what the bill actually says and separate three things: the current law, the proposed law, and perhaps what veterans should be watching closely. Now, again, remember, this video is for general education only. It is not legal advice for your specific cases, veterans. If you're looking for specific advice or potential representation, currently visit us at veteranlaying.com to schedule the time in person. Right now, only at our Arizona office. We may be adding our New Mexico office in that mix later on as we continue growing. But right now, we're taking in person here in Arizona. But even if you're in Arizona or you're not in Arizona, you're somewhere in the nation, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Nebraska, California, Oregon, Nevada, whatever, Mississippi, wherever your state may be, veterans, we can always schedule a phone call, and we can always talk about your claims there. So that's the spot that you want to get us for legal advice. Also, remember, you have other options out there too. You got a VA accredited attorneys, other VA accredited attorneys, VA accredited agents, and VSOs, all here fighting the same fight for you. So keep them in mind as well. I'm not here to hog up all the work. We're here as a team. We're here as a team with the same mission. All right. Also remember, though, the reason this is not legal advice and it is general education only is because every VA claim depends on the specific facts, specific evidence, and specific laws that are applicable to those facts and evidence. So I don't want to give you anything that's incorrect here and mess up your claim. So I'm not going to advise there. We do always encourage comments for the discussion purposes of education. So feel free to put those in there, veterans, but do remember, and VA, we do appreciate your point of view as well. I think it really helps to see the different angles of what's going on. But veterans, just be careful because if you put something in there and you ask about your claim, I'm not going to answer that because I'm not going to advise on your claim on the channel, even in the comments there. All education. All right, let's break it down. Let's get past that administrative note again. I can get really lost in those, can't I? So let's break it down. Right now, under the current VA rating schedule, recurrent tinnitus can generally receive a standalone 10% rating. What does this mean, veterans? Well, veterans, if you got, say, a claim in for hearing loss and you got a claim in for tinnitus, perhaps the VA says you don't have hearing loss for VA purposes, so they deny you the hearing loss, but they can still grant you the tinnitus. It's a standalone. It's separate from the hearing loss. In this example, it's not reliant on another issue, another condition. VA can give you a 10% if they service connect it. 10% is as high as it goes, by the way, as it stands alone. Perhaps you do get service connected for the hearing loss, but you can still also get service connected for the tinnitus as well. Again, 10% is the maximum there and really the minimum, 10% for the tinnitus, while receiving 0, 10, 20, 30 or more percent for the hearing loss. Depends on the facts of your case there. Now, that's the current look on the recurrent tinnitus. Now, that's one ear, both ears, but 10%. It's standalone by itself. Now, let's look at the sleep apnea really quick. Now, that can be rated on different levels. And many veterans are going to be very familiar with the current 50% rating that's tied to the required use of a breathing assistance device like a CPAP. So many times what we see is veterans, you get your sleep study done. We go fight the VA. We have to usually educate their examiners for some reason too, in at least the bad and the ugly I see, along with their decision makers. But we get there. We get you granted, and it finds out that you're prescribed a CPAP. So you require the use of a CPAP. Whether you actually are using it or not is a different story. And you get the 50%. And that's ultimately why a lot of people will say you get an automatic 50%, because that's pretty much the way it breaks down currently. Now, the new bill would change that for future claims if it becomes law. The important section here that I'm going to pull out of this massive 550 plus page bill here is Section 108. Remember, it is the Take Care of America's Veterans Act. Now, the Section 108 is titled Reforms Relating to Department of Veterans Affairs Disability Ratings. It seems the Congress is only focused on these two, tinnitus and sleep apnea. So for sleep apnea, the bill would require VA to revise the rating schedule. Under the proposed language, sleep apnea would be rated at a 0% when it's asymptomatic, with or without treatment. Pretty similar to what it is right now on the 0%, minor verbiage change. There would be rated at 10% when treatment gives incomplete relief. 10% when treatment gives incomplete relief. That is new there because, well, that line doesn't exist currently for 10%. A 50% rating would be available only if treatment is ineffective or the veteran cannot use the prescribed treatment because of certain conditions, and there's no end organ damage. When I say conditions, my tongue's getting tripped up, so I did skip a word there. So when you go back and look at the law, I'll go, hey, he didn't say, yeah, I know. It's been a long day, but let me see if I can stumble on it live here for you, or recorded without edits. Comorbid conditions. Close enough? All right, and there's no end organ damage. All right, now 100% rating would require end organ damage. So here's what this is meaning in real life. So if this bill passes as written, the old idea that a CPAP use automatically gets many veterans to 50% would not work the same way for claims filed after the new law takes effect. For claims filed after the new law takes effect. We're going to readdress that again because that's going to be key, veterans. The focus would shift much more toward how well treatment works, whether the veteran can use treatment, and whether there is a serious damage. So now it's not the idea anymore that it's prescribed or it's required, but it's really about the effects of how the treatment is working, how well it's working. So, yeah, for you veterans, that's going to be crucial, because I think that's going to limit that 50% that is normally seen, and may lead into some lower evaluations. But again, I'm not here to throw in my opinions. I'll let you look at that closer and do some research on that for your opinion there. But I think we can see that just on the verbiage of the proposed bill here and what we have already. Now, for tinnitus, the bill is also direct. It says tinnitus may not be assigned a separate compensable disability rating except in one specific situation. So they're taking away the standalone tinnitus, except for one exception, which is, well, really temporary exception. A 10% rating would be assigned only when tinnitus is diagnosed as associated with service-connected hearing loss that is otherwise non-compensable. So veterans, remember my example at the beginning. If you had a hearing loss and it got denied because you had normal hearing for VA purposes, you could still get, underneath the current law, the 10% as a standalone for the tinnitus if you had the tinnitus. Now, what we're reading here is if you're denied the hearing loss, well, the tinnitus can't stand alone anymore. But let's go back to the idea that you get granted the hearing loss. Well, let's say the hearing loss is only granted at 0%. Well, you can get a 10% for tinnitus. But if the hearing loss is granted at anything higher than 0%, say it's a 10%, tinnitus at a standalone 10% is gone. That's the way I'm interpreting this currently. So that's ultimately what the future of tinnitus claims would look like. It's not going to work the same way. That's only if this becomes law. I think ultimately what it's going to do is take away ultimately the granting of tinnitus completely. It's going to be thrown in as a symptom somewhere. But that's been talked about for a number of years as well. And it looks like that's what Congress wants to do now. So we've seen some changes there. We're going to see some changes if this gets passed. It looks like it could ultimately provide a lower percentage kind of on the surface, but let's get more into this topic here and see what you think about all this. So here's a part. Here's the part that some online posts may be missing right now. The bill also has a protection language for existing ratings. So Section 108 says the revisions would apply to claims filed after the date of enactment. It also says the revisions may not serve as the basis for reducing, discontinuing, or otherwise adversely affecting compensation that was already in effect the day before enactment, which is nice that they threw that in there because that's the current law. But it does seem, from what we've seen back here, is VA doesn't know that law. So Congress is feeling like it's necessary to say it again. So they have put it in there. So veterans, as I mentioned before, this new law, if it is this new law that's being proposed, if it is enacted, this will only apply to claims you filed for tinnitus and sleep apnea after its enactment. So if you file those claims now, you fall underneath the current law. So if you file tinnitus or sleep apnea before this gets enacted, if this proposal does get enacted, then you fall underneath the old law. All right. So let me recap that again. If you already have a rating, the bill text says these changes cannot be used by themselves to reduce or discontinue that compensation. And believe me, I got a feeling, VA, you're going to try. So keep a note, VA, because I make this educational for you too. Keep a note. The bill as it stands, if it is passed, and really underneath current law, you can't use the law change as a reason to reduce or discontinue the compensation. So if the veteran's already receiving 50% for the CPAP, and the law changes where that's no longer the criteria, you can't just go reducing the 50% because that's not the law anymore. All right, that does not mean nothing could ever happen to a rating under normal VA rules. There could be other laws or regulations, veterans over time, other about reductions in protected ratings and fraud, clear error, reexaminations, and so forth. That might alter everything. So it's not like a perfect shield or anything, but do know that the protection is being built in again to the bill. If you've already got that condition claimed or granted prior to the enactment of this proposed law. I think if you haven't heard it yet, my foot is stomping the ground really hard. Veterans, don't forget to file. Don't forget to file those conditions if you have them. They could also, sleep apnea, for example, could be secondary to many things that you have. So if you got questions about that, veteranline.com, or check out your local VA accredited attorney, agent, or VSO. This may be something to take a little bit more seriously now that Congress is moving in on it. Checking my notes here, kind of seeing where I'm at here, as I'm ad-libbing in between my notes, which I gotta be careful of doing. Yeah, I think that's crucial there. Just make sure veterans, you understand you're not going to lose like tinnitus or sleep apnea just because the bill gets passed. That's not what the text says. And I don't want you to get people make you afraid of that, but I would stomp my foot really hard and let you know that you might want to focus on those claims if you plan on filing those before any potential law changes. Because if the law does change, it's going to really matter for the future here of those claims. It's going to absolutely matter. It's definitely going to definitely change the outlook of those claims. So if passed as written, keep in mind this could make a major difference for future claims, especially for veterans who have not yet filed. Veterans whose claims are not filed before the enactment, and future service members who develop these conditions later. So those are the veterans that we'll probably have the most to worry about, is those who file after the enactment of the law, if it does get passed here, and those who get out of service down the road here. Now this is where veterans can get in trouble. They hear one side say it's all fake panic, and the other side say everyone is losing everything tomorrow. Neither is a careful explanation of this law. I know I'm stomping my foot and saying you might want to file, but I'm not here to give you a panic over it. We still don't know if this is going to be law or not. So the careful explanation is really this. Congress has introduced a bill that includes major positive provisions for some veterans. It includes the Major Richard Starr Act, but it also includes proposed rating changes that could substantially reduce future compensation for sleep apnea and tinnitus claims compared to how many veterans understand the current system. This is the conversation veterans should probably be having. What's that looking like for your claim? File, not file? Will it benefit you? Will it not benefit you? What's your opinion on that? And it's gonna really matter to you veterans and the decisions you make and your representatives that you work with. But I guess my foot's still hitting the ground. You may want to consider filing those claims there. Not as a panic. Not as a panic. All right, now let's talk about why all this is happening here. Let's get off the changes there. Supporters of the bill have described it as a comprehensive veterans package. It includes many different provisions dealing with compensation, survivors, healthcare, education, technology, community care, VA administration, and more. Did I mention it's more than 550 pages? And that's why. The House Veterans Affairs Committee released says the package includes the Major Richard Starr Act and more than 60 bipartisan bills. 550 plus pages. Did I mention that already? Yeah. I think Congress went, let's just take everything at once. So you're if you sit down and you read it, you'll probably recognize a lot of those others in there, but that's what we got. We got a mashup of it sounds like more than 60 bipartisan bills. The Major Richard Starr Act is about concurrent receipt for certain combat injured retirees under current law. Some medically retired combat injured veterans with fewer than 20 years of service do not receive both full military retirement pay and VA disability compensation. The bill would address this problem. This is a real issue. Many veterans and VSOs have supported fixing it. We would be excited if they would fix the retirement pay issues and the VA compensation crossover issues there. I've been hoping for it since I was working in the VA years and years ago. So definitely some progress there. But the controversy is over how Congress is trying to pay for the larger package. Veterans groups, including the VFW and DAV, have criticized the proposal because Section 108 would change future tinnitus and sleep apnea ratings. Now, if you're on either side of the aisle, one thing that you might read out there, Senate Democrats have also criticized the package, saying it would use cuts to future disability compensation as an offset. I'll leave that up to you, what your opinion is on that. I definitely don't want to get into the politics of it all. Democrats, Republicans, independents, whatever parties. We're not here to fight over that. We're here to educate, just to understand that there is some criticism out there from different parties, different individuals, different organizations when it comes to Section 108. Supporters argue, though, these are reforms to the rating schedule and that existing ratings are protected. So just because we're changing it doesn't mean it's a problem if you already have it. But those are the arguments that are being made. So the whole point about the education is, as we've had on the channel before, is different perspectives, different angles of stuff. So you may fall in the supporter side, you may fall in the non-supporter side, you may have a little bit of both sides as you read through the law. I just want to point out that there are more than one side, more than one argument on this here. It is a debate. It is definitely a debate going on here. Now, again, for Veteran Lang here and for myself as your VA accredited attorney, the point is not to turn this again into a partisan shouting match. That's not going to help anybody here when it comes to education, I feel. The point is to help veterans read the actual language and understand the practical effect. These are effects of what I anticipate is honestly, from a legal standpoint, my legal education, professional opinion, does include that while parts of the bill are good, other parts not so much. Now, we don't want to rely on viral posts alone. do want to be careful there. Read the bill. Listen to someone who is reading the bill carefully. So that's even here. I'm reading through the bill. I'm being your VA accredited attorney. I'm being that one who's giving you my perspective and presentation on it. But don't just rely on me either. Read, educate. Draw your own conclusions and opinions, but do know the change is on the horizon. Also understand that this is a proposed legislation. It has not been enacted yet. As of now, this is not current law. VA has not automatically changed every tinnitus or sleep apnea rating because of the proposed bill. But it is a proposed bill. It could become law, but it is not currently law. Also, if you already have a rating for tinnitus or sleep apnea, do not assume it is automatically being cut. The bill has language protecting compensation already in effect before enactment. And if the VA tries to cut it, you got us out here, your VA accredited attorneys like myself, all those other VA accredited attorneys. You got the VA accredited agents, and you have BSOs to help you as you need and as you desire. You can also go to it alone, as I mentioned before, and it's totally up to you if that's the approach you want. But we are here to assist and help you out if you do desire. And if the VA tries something crazy, VA, I'm watching you. I don't think in most cases it'll happen, but errors do happen. Misunderstanding of law and so forth does happen. So if you have not filed a claim and you believe veterans, you have a legitimate service connected condition, don't wait around based on rumors. Talk with, again, your accredited representative, your VSO, your claims agent, your attorney about your specific facts. And I think it's one big education thing to take here, because we're monitoring changes, we're watching changes, we're arguing changes. We're trying to help you out here. And let me be very clear, that does not mean rush out and file a weak claim. I know I'm stomping my foot back here, like, you may want to file, because if this does become law, I know, not to create that panic, but don't just rush out and just file the weak claim. Make sure you got the evidence. Make sure you've got buddy statements if you need them, lay evidence of some sort, your personal statements. Whatever your representatives are recommending, depending on what your claim is and the facts of your claim and how everything lines up. If it's sleep apnea, maybe you need that sleep study. Maybe you want to be able to show that you're prescribed or require that CPAP machine or other breathing assistance device. Make sure it's just not a weak claim. You're not just throwing it out there to get it denied because it is a weak claim. Don't exaggerate the symptoms either. I'm not saying go out there and then lie about things and over exaggerate to get the money in the claim. Granted, we definitely do not condone that here. Does not mean claim something you cannot support with evidence. Make sure you can support it. You get that sleep study done and it says you don't have sleep apnea, you don't have sleep apnea. No diagnosis. Can't be supported then. That's just the way it goes. Maybe it'll get diagnosed later on before the bill passes. Maybe it'll be after, and that's fine. But keep in mind, don't make the claim weak. Don't exaggerate it. If you choose to, again, that's your choice. But from what we work with back here and from an educational standpoint, make sure you can support that claim. Start gathering that evidence. This ultimately means if you have a real condition, real evidence, and a real theory of service connection, you should get competent help if you need it. Again, we're only here to help veterans. Many of you have been able to do it on your own, and if you still can or feel you can, yeah, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here trying to sell you anything, so yeah, do it. But do know that we're all here. We're all here with the same mission to help you out, to help you make some of those more informed decisions too, and help you with those claims and get that claim granted, especially when VA errors in those claims. Let's move on to VA employees and accredited representatives, veterans. I think we got the point there. For VA employees and accredited representatives, this is also a big deal. If this bill moves forward, you're going to see a lot of confusion. Like I said, I think there's some interpretation issues that are going to happen in here, some definition concerns, some legal fight. VA I know you're going to have some confusion issues. That's the nature of the beast and the growing pain that comes with it. I've witnessed it multiple times. So we know that there's going to be confusion in there. Veterans will ask whether their current rating is protected. They will ask whether they should file now. They'll ask whether pending claims are affected. They'll ask what happens if they file before enactment, but VA decides after enactment. Those details matter, and they may require careful reading of the final enacted law, if there is one. But right now, the cleanest statement is this. The introduced bill says the new versions apply to claims filed after enactment, and compensation already in effect before enactment is protected from being reduced or discontinued based on these revisions. So if the language changes, the analysis is going to change. This is why veterans should watch the bill text and not just headlines. So, final takeaways. Number one, tinnitus and sleep apnea rating changes are actually in the bill text this time. It's not just a rumor. It's not just saying, hey, maybe one day we'll get around to it. It's actually in the bill text right now. This is not just internet speculation anymore. Number two, the bill is not current law yet, though. So even though it's in the text yet, we don't have a current law. We can't start applying the proposal. Number three, existing compensation is protected in the introduction language, but future claims could be affected in major ways, especially if they're filed after the enactment of this bill, if it's enacted as it reads. Number four, this is tied to a larger veterans package that includes the Major Richard Starr Act and other provisions. So the politics will be complicated. There's likely to be a lot of debate with this one here. Number five, veterans should stay calm. I know, that's a hard one for us. I know veterans. As a veteran myself, that calm part, that gets me too. But we should try to stay calm. Stay informed. Make decisions based on evidence and not panic. Make sure if you're going to file that claim and you decide to for either tinnitus or sleep apnea that you've at least got a claim that's not weak, one that's not going to go against you unless the VA fails to understand something somewhere. Before making decisions about your own claim or appeal, consider speaking with, again, an accredited representative, a VSO, a claims agent, an attorney like myself. And again, it doesn't have to be me. I'm always happy and honored when it is, but we're all out here doing the same mission. It's ultimately the same goal. Helping you out, veterans. So don't forget, consider speaking to our accredited representative out there. Try to stay away from those non-accredited ones. There's all kinds of other trouble there, but we'll stop that. So I'm going to try to put some source links in the description here for you veterans. So if this section of 108 here, that's tinnitus and sleep apnea, affects you, then you'll have those as well. And you should have the whole bill, proposed bill, in the section 2, the description section. Veterans, VA, employees, and everybody watching, so you can actually read the bill if you enjoy doing things like that, like me. Must be a lawyer thing. I don't know. It is, I think it's about 554 pages actually of what is showing up in the document here. So it is more than 550 pages. It's going to be lengthy. That's what I got for you. That's what I got. I appreciate your time on this here. Those changes are definitely starting to progress forward. A lot more changes are being talked about and moving. So we want to keep an eye on those. A little bit more. Again, it's not rumor anymore. It's not rumor. It's just proposed. Well, veterans, I look forward to talking to you more. VA, especially the dedicated VA employees who want to do everything right, or do a lot right by veterans. I definitely look forward to talking to you. I'm thinking about another video in the future. And I want to talk to everybody out there who wants to learn too. But I am thinking about another video where we start addressing quality in the VA. So look for that because I am seeing a lot of issues there, and it's definitely interesting when you try to have those quality issues fixed by local regional offices, and they, not so happy to consider that. So anyhow, we'll put that together. Look for it in the future, but we'll have other topics as we go. Don't forget, you can always put in the comments topics you want me to put together and talk about, and get my point of view and education off of there. But we're always going to have something to talk about. So thank you again for hanging out with me on a later video here on this fine Tuesday. If you got any Tuesday left by the time this video posts, I hope the rest of it's terrific and tremendous, and that it was already tremendous and terrific for you. I'll see you next week.